guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Lauren and I do videos about home, decor, cleaning, lifestyle, and motherhood here on YouTube. So if you haven't yet subscribed, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. And if you are one of my subscribers and you're just not really into these pregnancy update videos, that is totally fine. I actually have my first Christmas decorating video of the season going up on Friday, so go ahead and skip this one and I'll see you in the next one. But for everybody that is interested in my pregnancy update and all of the crazy heavy bleeding and ER visits and everything that I had, then definitely stay tuned. So first off, while I'm filming this, I am now 20 weeks pregnant. If I'm so out of breath in this video, I apologize. I have tried to refilm the intro a few times and then I keep having to sit here and be like, breathe in, breathe out. I'm just so out of breath. But today's video is going to be a video sort of like a first/second trimester update, but mainly focused around what happened when I was around 13, 14 weeks pregnant. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know that I had 2 ER visits, tons of heavy bleeding. I was told that I was miscarrying twice, and here we are at 20 weeks. I just had the anatomy scan on last Friday and everything looks amazing. So I wanted this video to be kind of reassurance for anyone else. Oh, it's almost gonna make me cry. I didn't think that would make me feel sad, but I just honestly didn't think I was pregnant until this past week at the anatomy scan. My mom kept joking because I wouldn't even talk about being pregnant. I wasn't preparing. I wasn't getting excited for it or anything. After the bleeding happened, I just kind of told myself it wasn't happening. And obviously I kept having ultrasounds and being told that everything was looking good, but I just didn't want to get my hopes up. I didn't want to get attached. So my mom, when she knew I had the anatomy scan coming up, she's like, I can't wait for you to go to the doctor and for them to tell you you're pregnant because I'm so far along now, and I think I really just am now allowing myself to believe that I'm pregnant and everything's fine just because of how scary the situation was. So anyways, I'm sorry, so much rambling. Basically, I wanted to make this video for anyone who might be going through this. When it was happening to me and when I was sitting in the waiting room, the emergency room, I was Googling bleeding and pregnancy, 13 weeks pregnant and bleeding, losing blood clots, 14 weeks, pregnant, bleeding, just searching all that stuff. And honestly, there's not a lot that come back with a positive experience. There are some, but I want to be one of the ones that's a positive experience. So if you're going through this, maybe you have some reassurance, you know that here are some possibilities, and maybe just some comfort to watch me and know what I went through and to see that now everything is fine. So I did take some notes on my phone because I wanted to kind of remember the background and everything. So obviously we have been going through this whole pandemic thing this year, and with me being pregnant and someone who just suffers with medical anxiety as it is, I've been so safe. I mean, I hadn't gone to Target in 7 months. Just when March hit, I haven't gone anywhere. So by the time it hit September, I was actually feeling pretty down and depressed. I think I had just been home too long. I'm a super extroverted person. I seriously get my recharge from being in large groups of people. I started feeling I don't even like our house anymore. I was just home all the time and never left. So I was getting a little stir crazy. So my husband's birthday is actually September 15th. So we decided that we were going to go to the beach for a vacation. We were going to get an Airbnb. I wanted to still social distance and be safe. So our plan was while we were there that we were just going to, enjoy time at the beach, which wasn't crowded at all. And we were going to order takeout from all these awesome restaurants all around and then eat dinner every night on that balcony overlooking the beach. And it would just be a really fun vacation. So one more background thing that I want to mention. I kept having the lightest, and I mean the lightest, pink and brown spotting. At 6 weeks, I had it for 2 days. And I mean, not even spotting, it was only when I wiped. And I apologize, this video is going to be TMI, but I think that's kind of a given. So I hope that you guys are okay with me talking about this. But it was light pink, light brown when I wiped at 6 weeks for just a couple days, and the doctor was like, that's nothing. And when I tell you it was light, I mean, if I wasn't pregnant, I wouldn't have even noticed it. It's when you're is that? And it happened again at 10 weeks. And when it happened again, I asked the doctor at my next appointment, like, why, like, what is it from? They're like, oh, I don't know, sometimes it just happens. So anyways, day 3 of our vacation at the beach, we, everything, I felt totally fine. So then, James was trying to put William to sleep in the bedroom, and I actually fell asleep on the couch, and James and William fell asleep in the bedroom. And at like 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. I woke up and I realized, oh, I'm still on the couch sleeping and James is in the bedroom with Will sleeping. So I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go into the bedroom so I can hang out with them, or, you know, go to sleep. So I stood up, I felt totally fine. I felt totally fine the whole day. I didn't feel like I overdid it. I really didn't. I mean, this was a relaxing vacation. So I went into the bedroom and it's pitch black in there, and so I'm kind of like sneaking around so that I can crawl into bed and not wake up our 3-year-old. And then all of a sudden I feel something pouring down my leg. It felt like someone took a like cup of water and poured it down my leg, and I instantly remember going, no, 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 because I just like, I knew, I was like, no, 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 no. So I went into the bathroom and turned on the light, and sure enough, my leg was covered in blood. The top of my foot was covered in blood. There was spots all over the bathroom floor. Thank goodness we did not get any on the Airbnb carpet. It was all on the tile. And so I instantly am like, oh, so I like don't know what to do. James is still sleeping. I'm like rolling up toilet paper. I'm like wiping it up and then putting it in. And then I like got over to James's side of the bed and I'm like, wake up, wake up. And at this point, it's James's birthday. It's 2 a.m. on James's birthday. So that was a fun birthday. But I woke him up and I'm like, I'm bleeding, come out here. So we went out to the kitchen and I'm frantic. I don't know what to do. I instantly call my OBGYN. Mind you, we're like 2.5 hours from home. I call my OBGYN and leave a message with like the night nurse asking what I should do. I'm like, hi, I'm 13 weeks pregnant. I have so much blood coming out of me, because usually they ask like, are you filling more than 1 pad an hour? I'm like, it's like pouring out. So she tells me to go ahead and head to the closest emergency room. And I cannot even explain to you this level of fear. It's definitely like one of the scariest moments of my life, because for one, I thought 1000% I'm miscarrying this baby. There's no way this much is coming out of me. And then 2, I'm thinking, I'm not 5 weeks pregnant where, you know, I wouldn't notice. Like, I'm like 13, 14 weeks pregnant. Like, this is scary. Like, if this comes out of me, like, I don't know what, I don't want to be here. I want to be at the hospital. I don't know what to do. I was just scared that I was going to be like giving birth to a baby at the Airbnb. So we get Will up. He's 3, so that was a mess. We got him up. He's pretty much asleep. James like grabs his tablet and stuff, puts him into the car, and we start heading to the hospital. And mind you, we are staying at, it's not Myrtle Beach. We went somewhere, it has like a lot less people. I think it was called Surfside. I don't know. Either way, I just look up the nearest hospital. So I know I'm talking a lot, so I'll try to like speed up this part. So we go to one hospital and I check in and then I tell them what's wrong, and they're like, oh, we don't have an ultrasound machine here, so we would just get you checked in and then ambulance you to the nearest hospital with an ultrasound machine. And then I'm like, I don't need like ambulance bills. So I'm like, no, we'll just go to that hospital. Like, what hospital is it? And she's like, oh, it's the next closest hospital. They're the big hospital and we're just like the smaller version of it. So I find that hospital, or what I thought was that hospital, on the maps, and I go there and I check in there and I'm waiting, and then I tell them my thing, and then they're like, oh, we don't have an ultrasound machine here. So basically what I had done is, for instance, here in North Carolina, we have 2 big hospitals. We have like Novant and Atrium. So basically what I did, I don't know what their hospital names are, but I went to 2 smaller hospitals. I went to both of the big hospitals' side hospitals. So I didn't end up going to the side hospital's main hospital. I just went to a different side hospital. So get in the car, go again. At this point, it's been like an hour, and we get to that hospital, and thank goodness we're at the right hospital. So I was just like, I haven't gone to Target in 7 months because I've been so careful about COVID, and now here I am going to 3 hospitals in one night. Hold on, honey, I'm coming. Sorry, my legs are falling asleep, and I know I'm talking so much. I'm gonna try to speed it up. I kind of wanted to just wanted to set the picture and tell you all the information, and I don't know. So I get into that hospital and I have to go alone because of COVID. James typically would have been able to come back with me, but obviously we had our 3-year-old with us. We're out of town, so no one can watch him. So James had to stay in the car with our son. And this is like 3 a.m. at this point. It's 3 a.m. and I'm waiting in the waiting room, and then I start to feel like really bad cramping and lower back pain, and then I'm like getting really nervous. I'm in the waiting room. I don't really know if I should go tell someone. I'm there by myself, and I'm just like really uncomfortable, and I just was getting kind of panicky. So then I'm like, excuse me, can I use the restroom? And they point me to where the restroom is in the waiting room, and I go into the restroom, and whenever I go to public bathrooms, I always like squat over the toilet. I feel like that's a pretty common thing, so you don't have to sit down. So I am just going pee, and then I feel like a bloop feeling and a splash, and I look down like between my legs in the toilet, and I just saw this is such TMI, but like a big dark red, like this big, in the toilet. So instantly I thought the baby came out. I mean, that's what it looked like to me. But I looked for like a split second. Sorry, my camera stopped recording, but I didn't flush the toilet or anything. At this point, I'm like sobbing. Like, I was holding it together pretty well, but then I just started bawling my eyes out. I walked back out to the waiting room to the main guy that checks you in. I'm like, I think I just lost the baby. I think the baby's in the toilet. And I'm like, and he goes and grabs a nurse. So a nurse comes into the bathroom and she looks at it and she goes, okay, it's just a really large blood clot. It's not the baby. And then I get pulled back into a room immediately. I guess I shouldn't say a room. I never actually had a room at this hospital. I got pulled back into like triage. So I get all checked in, and then they take all my blood work, and after that came out, I didn't feel like, I could tell I wasn't bleeding as heavily after I passed the blood clot, but they basically gave me a hospital bed. However, they were so full that I was on a hospital bed in the hallway, which is why I kind of told you guys the story about how I was trying to social distance and being super careful and didn't go to Target, because then here I am in a hospital in the hallway, and the 2 doors to my side that were right next to me, like I could have reached out and touched them, had huge paper cutout stop signs on them that said COVID. So the 2 patients in those rooms, I guess, I'm assuming were COVID patients. The one had his door closed the whole time. The other one, the door was open the whole time, which was making me so anxious, and he was on like an oxygen machine. So that's why I told you I was trying to social distance, because this just added on to my anxiety, because now I'm sitting on a bed in the hallway right next to COVID patients, which I thought there would be more separation, but I guess the hospitals near Myrtle Beach are always like overflowing. So anyways, I am there for like 6 hours, I think, and they end up doing an ultrasound, and I'm thinking at this point, there's no way that I'm still pregnant. Like, I'm definitely miscarrying. There's no way. Like, the amount of blood that came out. And I will touch and say I did have bleeding in pregnancy with Will. I had a subchorionic hematoma with Will, which is actually somewhat common, and I had it at about 13 weeks with him, but it was always red spotting in my underwear. It was never this amount of blood. So I had the ultrasound, and they couldn't tell me anything while they were doing it, and then I had to wait an hour for the doctor, and he was like, well, the baby looks fine, totally unaffected, just up there kicking around, heartbeat looks fine. I mean, everything looks totally normal, but you'll have to go see your doctor tomorrow. So I leave the hospital, and I'm like, oh, and he did say it is a threatened miscarriage, so everything looks fine now, but with the amount of bleeding that you're having, I would be cautious. He said I wouldn't get my hopes up too high or something like that. So anyways, the next day we end up going home from the beach, and then the day after that I have an appointment with my OBGYN to get like a super in-depth ultrasound so they can check on everything. And I mean, we were there in the ultrasound room for like 30 minutes. She looked at everything. She looked at my placenta, my cervix, my uterus, I mean, just to see if they could find anything, if there was a subchorionic hematoma, any reason for the bleeding, and they couldn't find anything. They said it looks like whatever it was stopped. As far as we know, everything looks healthy with the baby. My placenta was low-lying. It wasn't at the stage of Placenta Previa, so it wasn't covering my cervix. It was pretty low, and they were a little concerned about that, but they said they would like to check it in later on in the pregnancy to make sure it had moved up. But everything looked totally fine. So I went home, and I was kind of feeling optimistic, still kind of worried, but just like, okay, like, yeah, like the bleeding had stopped. Okay, this is fine. That was just like a weird fluke. So 2 days pass and I am taking it extremely easy. I basically put myself on a mild bed rest. They told me I could continue regular activity, but I was like, no, wasn't doing pretty much anything. I wasn't even going like on walks around the neighborhood anymore, nothing. And 2 nights later, me and my husband are sitting on the couch and it was once again, such a good day. We were eating cheese and crackers and watching a movie, and I'm laying down. So I wasn't standing or anything. Completely, I'm laying down on the couch, and then I feel almost like what it felt like when my water broke and I was laying down. Just with the rush, not the actual feeling of like when my water broke when I was pregnant with my son, it felt like someone snapped like a balloon inside of me. I didn't have that feeling, but like the rush is kind of what it felt like, because it wasn't like a little dribble. So I'm laying down and I had such a large gush of blood that it went, while laying down, through my underwear and through my pants and onto the couch. So I stand up and I go in the bathroom and I just instantly start crying. It's happening again. Why is this happening again? I call my OBGYN. Thankfully we're home this time, and she tells me I have to go back to the emergency room because once again, the whole filling a pad every 2 hours thing is like out the window. There's way more than that. So thankfully my mom and my sister were able to meet us at the hospital and take my son. So he stayed the night at my mom's house, and James was able to go into the hospital with me this time. At this point, I've been to 4 hospitals in 3 days. So much for social distancing. That's why I brought it up in the beginning of the story, because it was just so funny how hard I tried to like be smart about the situation, and then how many hospitals I ended up being at within such a short amount of time. But then once again, we get to the hospital, we wait. This was a little bit better of an experience because I wasn't by myself and I didn't pass any blood clots. I'm still bleeding. We're there for the 7 hours ordeal. I get another ultrasound and they're like, baby looks fine. We have nothing to tell you. Everything looks totally normal. Cervix is closed. Everything's still good. And I'm like, what? And once again, they say this is a threatened miscarriage though, especially since this has happened twice now. Like I wouldn't be too optimistic, and so I keep myself on a mild bed rest. But that was a pretty long explanation of everything that happened. So with that being said, here are my theories, and I've discussed these with my doctors now at this point, of what I think happened, and they agree that they think it was one or the other. I believe that I had a subchorionic hematoma, and that is the clot that came out. Because a subchorionic hematoma is when a blood clot forms when the baby's forming. It's just like some blood gets trapped, and then usually your body kind of absorbs it, which is what happened with Will. And I think that it had like broken off, and then that's when all that bleeding happened, and then the blood clot came out, and then maybe what happened over the next week was like leftover, I don't know. And then the other option is maybe I had a little bit of Placenta Previa, and that's what was causing the bleeding. So those are 2 options if you are having bleeding in pregnancy that are actually really common, and both most likely end in a healthy pregnancy and a totally normal pregnancy. So I actually had my anatomy scan last Friday and everything looks perfect. I haven't bled since September 20th, and it is now November 4th, so I'm feeling really good. It has definitely traumatized me a little bit because with my son, I feel like I was very like excited with every little thing I felt in pregnancy, even like round ligament pain, everything, where now any little pain I have, I get really panicky. Any little cramp or backache or anything panics me. Every time I go to the bathroom and I feel like I feel anything, I always look down and like hold my breath like there's gonna be blood. It's definitely not been the easiest pregnancy, but everything is looking great. We had the anatomy scan, the brain looks great, the heart, everything. My cervix looks great. My placenta has completely moved up to the point where she's like, I wouldn't have been able to tell that it was ever low. So I'm just feeling really thankful and blessed. And if you were one of the people on Instagram that reached out and sent me DMs, I got so many DMs those nights that I wasn't able to get to all of them, but I did read most of them, and they really helped so much with so many of you women sharing reasons that you bled in pregnancy and how it turned out okay, or just saying that you were praying for me, and that just really made me feel so good, and I cannot tell you how much I needed it those nights. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. But I don't know, I hope that if you're currently going through this, that you have a happy outcome as well. And I hope that this video could maybe give you some peace, that I had extremely heavy bleeding at 13 and 14 weeks, as well as passing a huge blood clot, and the baby is totally fine and everything is fine. And I have been told that I should start exercising again, that no bed rest at all. Everything looks great. And so it's turned out to be nothing. So it was scary, but everything seems to be going great. So I just wanted to give this update for my Instagram followers who are following along when I was posting the updates like live from the hospital, or just for people on my YouTube that might have not known what had happened, or for women who are pregnant who are searching these keywords right now on YouTube. I hope this video can be some peace for you. It's kind of weird to say on this video, but it just helps the video to reach more people. If you want to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment, and then subscribe. Sorry, my camera cut me off, told me I was talking too long. Subscribe for future pregnancy updates. I will have the gender reveal hopefully going up next week, and my decorating for Christmas video will be going up on Friday. So I hope that you all have an absolutely amazing day, and if you're currently going through the whole experience, you can get through it. It seems so scary in the moment, but I know you can do it. And just know that from my experience and a lot of the experience of a lot of the women that messaged me on DM, sometimes bleeding is totally normal and sometimes there's really no reason. But thank you guys. I hope you all have a great day. Oh, I figured I'd give you guys a little bump shot. So this sweater doesn't really fit me anymore. I am 20 weeks pregnant. This is baby number 2, so I'm showing way earlier than I did with my son. I was not this big the first time around, but yeah, I am 20 weeks and feeling large and in charge.